been able to sleep because I've been worrying about this Penrose quilt. I've now, look back to the last video, I've now built it up to be a Decagon, which is a 10-sided shape with those glittery blue pieces that you saw. And you've just seen me arranging the leftover pieces, which I want to use up, I don't want to waste. So I'm going to at least get it to the point where I'm working on a square quilt and not a Decagon. Because if you watched the last video, you'll know that I've decided I'm not going to do any more Penrose quilting on this quilt because it's taking up too much time and it's not giving me a neat finish that I want. It's a bit of a compromise. So today I'll be working out how to build it up to that shape and, if possible, work out a way to use up those shapes so that they don't get wasted and I can finish the top. So I hope, well, first of all, thank you for coming on this journey with me, because it would be very lonely otherwise and I would be feeling like a sad quilting lady wrestling with a problem on my own. Because as much as I love my husband, he has zero interest in quilting. He's interested in the machinery, but not the detail. Whereas I think you might be a bit. So it gives me somebody to talk to about it. And my friends just glaze over. If I venture into talking about fabrics or quilts, they just kind of glaze over and change the subject. Though I do have one crafty friend, and that's why this video is a bit later than it would have been, because we spent yesterday sewing and mucking around together in here, which was really good fun. But back to business, and I hope you enjoy watching.
So I'm about to start the next part of the quilt with the aim of finishing the top. And the Penrose challenge has caught me out again. You might remember me gleefully holding up my work at the end of the last video. And I went to add the third of those and I realised that I'd made another mistake, unbelievably. So I've resurrected my design floor and made sure that I put out the pieces for the next layer, next round, exactly as I need them to be. And I'm not even trying to chain piece any or anything like that, because the minute I do that, I make a mistake. Oh, I don't know if this is just me or whether this is it really being a challenge. And I called it the Penrose challenge in a sort of careless way, but actually it really has challenged me, because every time I think I'm okay, I make a mistake. So here you can see me trying to fit that piece back in, which I've only just sewn the two together, and it's wrong. Pick them up off the floor, sewed them together, and it's wrong. So take care.
While the iron heats up, I'm just taking 5 minutes to have a piece of orange cake. It's a good job I made it earlier, or I might not have been able to carry on, and a cup of tea and a look at the rain. taken the plunge and trimmed down the panel to be this sort of outline shape of the Porsche. Before I did that, I fused the panel to a piece of fusible interface and I've pinned it in place. I decided in the end to not completely obscure the central white part. I thought it might look better off to the side. And now I'm going to applique it to the quilt top as is so far. I thought it would be easier to do that before I add any more pieces and it becomes more difficult to manage. This is I don't do a lot of applique, but this is my favourite way of doing it after trying several. Sometimes it's pieces I'm appliquing onto quilts, or more commonly letters for a name, and I've tried that paper that you put on and fuse it and peel the paper off. I've tried all of those. I've tried to fuse the paper. This is my favourite method, which is I just fuse lightweight fusible interface to the panel. I pin it in place, and then I go round with this stitch. I'll show you separately, but it's the applique stitch, which is a zigzag stitch, but with one stitch that then goes into the applique. So before I got going with any of the other quilts, I thought I'd actually make a bit more progress with this one so that I can sort of rest easy. So I've appliqued on my stylised sports car, and so now I've decided that I'm not going to do any more Penrose quilting on the top. Sorry about that, but this has taken me an inordinate amount of time. It's still not the neatest finish that I would like, and once I've done this up to here, I'm going to need to sit down and neaten up these corners before I go any further, which is going to take me more time. And bear in mind that I've got these other fabrics here, and in total I'm actually making 5 quilts for Christmas presents, so this is just the first one. So I've learned a huge amount by doing this, and I hope that what I've shared might help you to get started on one yourself. I've come to the conclusion that yes, you can do Penrose quilting on a machine, but you need to be very adept on the machine. You need to potentially have a large size of quilt piece, and perhaps a project where you're happy to work on it over a period of time, a longer period of time. If I were to do this again, it might altogether be more easy, but you've got an awful lot of angles here, and they all need to be neatened, done neatly, and it's not that easy. I don't find it that easy. I would have found it, if I'd had more time, I would have found it easier to do this and got a neater finish if I'd done it all with English paper piecing. That's the conclusion I've come to with this quilt. So I will make another Penrose quilt, but as I've said before, it will be with smaller pieces and it'll be done by hand with English paper piecing, and I think I'll probably enjoy it. But this is where we are with this one. So what I do have now is a lot of pieces of fabric which are the incorrect size, because as you know, I was working with the wrong size templates, and I made, entirely my fault, but I made a bit of a hash of it. So I've worked out, for instance, that of what I've got left, because I've bought these other fabrics and I've got 5 to make, I don't want to waste any of this on this project. So what I've worked out is that the pieces that are left do fit together. The incorrect pieces fit together very well, and we'll make a geometric pattern. It won't be a Penrose pattern, but they'll make a geometric pattern. And that's not a good example, but I've got different colours like this. So these are going to be fitted together like this. I'll have use up all of these. I won't have those joined like that. Desperately trying to find one of the purple ones, but you get the idea. And then I also have the offcuts. So where I cut these correct pieces out, I still had quite a lot of offcuts, and they are generally this shape. So these will go probably at the edge as well. I'll use all those up. So the rest of the quilt will be geometric. But it will be like this. It won't be a Penrose tiling. So what my next stage is, apart from neatening it up by hand and finishing the joins at the corners by hand, is I'm going to use some of these incorrect ones to fill in this gap here, and so on, because I've not used this sparkly blue yet, and that is part of the design. And here, like this, do that, and then that gives me more straight edges. It straightens it off to be, probably it will be more of a pentagon, I should think. And then these elements can be added more easily, and I'll build the quilt up that way.
Here are some of the shapes that I've sorted out, ready to use. You set about trying to turn the quilt into a square quilt instead of something that was round, without having to cut up too much of my pieces or waste anything. And this proved to be a lot harder than I thought it might be.
I feel it's not done with me yet. This isn't going to be easy either. Right, I'm wondering whether I should actually do this on paper. Oh, at least you know not to do what I've done, and you won't make this mistake that I've done. Get yourself a bit of pickle over it. You can plan it beforehand, unlike what I did. Got it in my head that that and that make up the side, and then you're still going to have that bit sticking out, aren't you? Whereas these on their own do make up good blocks like this. These separately, I think what I need to do is cut some separate pieces that will build it up.
In the end, I decided to add some white panels because I wanted to repeat the white in the middle and use up some of the shapes by inserting triangles.
So I don't know if you can see this, but I was given this triangle yesterday as a gift, part of a gift. My sister collects sewing notions for me. So, and this is a rather nice one. It's got inches marked on it, etc. You could use it for bunting if you wanted. So, gave me an idea. So I've made some triangles out of my leftovers, and I'm desperately trying to get this pattern up to a square. So all those times when I've boasted about, oh, my quilts always work out okay in the end, well, I'm now sort of eating my words and wishing I'd never boasted that, because every time I try and solve this, I get caught out again. So this can go up to, I think, that floorboard edge. I don't know if you can see it. I'm using the floorboards to measure it. So, come up here, go up to that, there, and that would be as far as that. In fact, it'll be a bit less because of the stitch lines. So, that's actually not going to work, is it? Because that's going to be too low. If I go up there. This is rapidly becoming a lesson in how not to do a quilt. Do feel free to use me as an example of what not to do. I won't be offended. But I'm proceeding to get out of this muddle, and I'm not really going to rest until I do. So I still don't know whether that's going to make a square. I hope it is.
After realising how much of the quilt I was going to have to cut off in order to get a square, I came up with another plan.
Of the circle, the pentagon, the decagon. I'm sorry. I'm obviously not meant to make quilts like that. I'm not meant to.
I joined up some of the diamonds into strips. And joined some of the triangles into half square triangles, and then made some extra ones with some of the other leftovers. And then sorted them into blocks, and I even got out the hated rotary cutter to trim them down.
So at last, I've now got all of the elements for the top of the quilt and feel I can take a bit of a break from this quilt. So I've managed to make the squares that were incorrect into half square triangles, and I've combined those into blocks of 4. Pretty sure I'm going to have those along the bottom. Then the incorrect diamonds I've combined together to get this stripy effect, sort of a little bit like chevrons, I suppose. And then at the top I used up some more. So I tried to do it so that I didn't have to cut up any more pieces. I did have to cut some purple diamonds, but I didn't have to cut much. Most of it is reusing the bits I'd cut out incorrectly. I didn't realise how much those diamonds alternating were going to look like chevrons until I'm looking at it now. So I'm thinking I might make another row of them. I don't have enough purple. These two combined, and I didn't realise till I'd done it, that one and that one, if you put them together, they don't make chevrons, which is a bit baffling for me because the diamonds are symmetrical and they're both made with the same diamonds. But if you turn them around the other way, you don't get a chevron. And I actually find that very confusing. Perhaps you don't. Well, I do. So I'd love to know what you think. Have you ever made anything like this? And have you ever got in a similar muddle with a quilt that I have now? I finally feel I can breathe a sigh of relief that I've got myself out of the muddle, and I do have something that is, well, it's definitely unique. I've also realised that the diamonds pointing into the middle do look a little bit like the spokes of a wheel. So overall, I'm fairly pleased with it. And so I'm going to take a little break from this quilt now and go on to the other ones, the ones for the younger relatives, which are going to be made with these fabrics, and make a start on those, and then come back to this one when I'm going to be binding it. So keep an eye out for that, and if you want to watch it, make sure you've hit the subscribe button and you've got notifications set. And also, as I say, if you have made anything like this, or tell me what you think of it, I'd love to know. So getting comments is my favourite thing about YouTube. I like sewing and I like making the videos, but I really love it when people get in touch. And I do respond to all messages. So be nice to hear from you. Thanks for watching.